Man United 4, Bournemouth 1 in what was maybe the best preseason performance United have put in the last 2 to 3 years. Sharpness, there was a clinical edge, there was a bite in Manchester United's play. More importantly, though, than the goals, more importantly, though, than the win for me, is the answering of questions. We saw the Leeds game, a lack of intensity, patterns of play, run through in the midfield. A very different story in the West Ham game, and even more improved tonight. And tonight we didn't even see Cunha in the side. He was rested due to a little bit of early season fatigue, just making sure he's okay. Mbumo hasn't joined. The new striker isn't here yet. And I was a little concerned when I saw the starting lineup for the central midfield pairing of Casemiro and Bruno. But overall, sharp, dominated the territories, more of the ball. The possession evened out more in the second half after we made a lot of substitutions. But we had the better chances in the game, had that clinical edge, had a real snap, as I say, and bite to the press in our team. And of course, my feet still very, very firmly on the ground, lodged into planet Earth. No doubt about that. But an improvement. And I think Man United, my assessment of our preseason is very different to that of other members of the traditional top six that we cover on this channel. And that's purely and simply because we were so poor last year. We lacked a lot of what we saw tonight. And I want to see improvements. I want to see a team that looks genuinely ready to start the new campaign. And I was impressed tonight. I was impressed with so many elements of the game, and we're going to break that down for you now. We're going to go for it, talk about some of the individuals as well. But do me a favor, please, people, and first of all, hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Get this stream shared, get this stream put into your social media group chats, share it on X, put it on your WhatsApp group chats, your Telegrams, whatever it is that you use. And welcome to everybody that's tuning in. And yes, if you're asking how I am, I'm good. A little tired, but I went to bed, got up. I'm going to go back to bed again after this. But remember, we've got a done deal show in about 6 hours. So make sure you're all back for that. Loads to talk about. We're taking your calls on that show as well, which is really important to us. Baz1 here says the football is coming together. I think it's a really, really great comment there from yourself, because I've said all along that I think it's very important that Manchester United it's very important that we keep our feet on the ground. There's no doubt about that in my mind, and I haven't changed it. What was really interesting in this game, I went onto a few social media. And I went onto a few people that have been very detrimental about how we play. Ruben's going to be sacked within 5 to 10 games. There's no patterns. There's no intensity. The midfield is going to be run through, etc. It was interesting looking at their feed during this game. They were tweeting at the starting lineup, but no tweet throughout the course of the match, which tells me we were impressive. Nobody should be getting carried away. Nobody should be issuing apologies. Nobody should be talking about, oh my God, United might win the league. That isn't even how I'm viewing this game. But that told me we were playing very, very well. And the football is coming together. The way we pressed. Man United have been a team for about 6 or 7 years who haven't been able to press properly. You'd have Bruno running off by himself, nobody with him. We barely set a trap. We didn't have the fitness to maintain a press for long periods of the game. And I would say in the last 3 seasons, and yes, it is preseason, so you have to take that into consideration. But in the last 2 years, Bournemouth home and away have dominated us, physically overpowered us, and they've run through us. That wasn't happening tonight. We all saw the Man United players come back to preseason looking stronger, fitter, faster than they have done before. And I think that's a really important element. And we're starting to see the fitness level go up. We're starting to see the conditioning go up. Then you've got the football in itself. Yes, there was a few times tonight where I got annoyed at Bruno and Cass and Mount and Ahmad, actually, that all at times in the first and second half gave the ball away cheaply, where a better pass or a little bit more relaxation in that moment, and we would have had another goal-scoring opportunity. That being said, there was some wonderful interplay, some great one-touch passing, and we were moving the ball into very dangerous territories. And all I could think at those times was, Can you imagine when Cunha and Mbumu and potentially Seshko are in those situations and in those positions? This could be very, very potent for us indeed. So I like the patterns tonight. I like the approach to the game. I loved our intensity. And there's been such a lack of intensity for such a long time at Manchester United. It's frustrating. In terms of the players, well, look, you know, I want to first of all shout out Dorgu, because I feel, was so unfairly, so incorrectly, so ridiculously judged early by Man United fans. Now, of course, this is pre-season. He's got to bring it into the Premier League. But I am glad that I didn't sell my stock in him. I am glad I didn't attack him last year. I am glad that I didn't act like he was this dud signing. I could see what he brings. I know he scored tonight, but I still want his shooting to improve. It wasn't a great shot. But he was just from the first whistle, running down that touchline, giving us width, using his speed, using his power, using his athleticism, along with his good dribbling ability to really help us. And I think a player like him is going to pay dividends next year. So I was really impressed with Dorgu. He deserves a lot of credit tonight. He deserves a lot of praise for his performance, and I want to see more of the same. Interestingly, I'm going to jump to his replacement, Diego Leon. I really love watching this kid play since he's been here. You can tell how much he wants it. And he did get tonight, for me, arguably the greatest assist in Man United's history, because the way he pretended to fall over to throw to like confuse the defender. It obviously I'm joking. I just never see anything like it. But you know, in life, people go, you can't try too hard. That was someone trying a little bit too hard, and he took a step too far and he fell. But him falling over actually helped lead to the goal, because the Bournemouth players are like sort of panicking around the ball a little bit. Aside from that, look, I thought Ahmad, I mentioned already, a few poor passes from him when he could have done better, but just looked dangerous in that 10 role. Really enjoyed what I saw from him tonight. And I love his goal. And Tim Howard was talking on commentary, and he said something that was so correct, that Man United rush things too much. And I get when it's 0-0, you rush. But often we rush, we lose the ball, we get countered, we concede. What we did tonight that was really good, and that third goal was epitomized it more than any other part of the game. We just took our time. There was a little bit of fortune how the ball ended up at our feet, but you create that luck by being patient. The more patient you are with the ball on the edge of that box, the more calm you are. Often you can make the defending side panic, and we did that very, very well tonight. And Ahmad, well done with the goal. I want to speak Bruno and Cass for a minute, because I was concerned seeing that midfield too. Worked very well tonight. Yes, there will be people that despise Bruno and despise Casemiro. That that ball was overhit and that pass didn't come off. And what about this mistake? There's always going to be mistakes. What we can actually do one day is watch PSG's midfield play, and we'll do a little foghorn noise every time one of them overhits a pass or runs into a dead end or makes a mistake. And I guarantee you that foghorn's going to annoy you within 10 minutes. But that's what they're really good. Didn't get run through. We dominated the ball. It isn't my preferred choice for central midfield, and I'm not sitting here and saying we don't need to improve it. So don't take what I'm saying and run to some sort of use hyperbole, use sort of it's a word I'm looking for that's just absolutely gone at 4:30 in the morning in my head. I want to say the word paradox. It isn't paradox. What is it when you go from one extreme to the other? What's that fucking word? Why can't I remember the word? Polarizing. That's the word I'm looking for. This sort of polarizing view of, you're saying we don't need a midfielder. Anyone who responds with that's got low IQ. That's all I'm going to start saying to that point now. Equally, though, tonight proves a point that I made on the United stand a couple of days ago. I think I said it here on the terrace as well. Against 75% of the Premier League, we're going to dominate the ball. So yes, I want to improve the midfield, but putting more goals into our team, I think we're never going to fix every problem with this squad in one summer. Adding goals to the team changes things. Today's match, yes, we were sharper in our press. The traps were better, and we look fitter and stronger, granted. But in terms of the way the game went, this was like a lot of matches last season. We had the most of the ball. We had the most of the chances, but we didn't score. Then we'd concede late on in the way that we did, and we'd lose the football match, or we'd be 1-0 up and we'd draw. By adding more players to this team that are more clinical, maybe by the confidence growing in the side, we will score and win more games. So I do think improving our attack is the best course of action this summer, knowing that we couldn't spend £300 or £400 million and fix every single. Well, it's going to take about £1 billion to fix our squad, and that wasn't going to happen in one summer. Listen, I was impressed with them. Look, Rasmus, he had some good first touches, and good little movements and things like that. Scored these goals, took it well. I'm taking nothing away from him, but still 4 or 5 occasions where he could have played really good. There was a moment where Mount picked the ball up in the first half, about 35 minutes in. He just has to run through the middle. Mount's going to play him in. Doesn't even make the run. Overall, though, look, happy enough with him. I'm hoping this keeps the RB Leipzig dream alive. And listen, we can do some kind of deal where he goes one way and we get Šeško. I'll be very, very happy with that. Defensively, we were sound. Lenny Yoro just growing all the time. And Lenny Yoro is one of the reasons why I am confident in Šeško doing well. Because Lenny Yoro is a youngster that we bought. And if anyone says we're not bringing him on, if you think about Lenny Yoro in that game when he first... Remember, he didn't really get a preseason because he got injured. Our old ex-manager played him with a problem with his metatarsal when he shouldn't have done. He didn't start the season until late. He got cooked in his first couple of games, just looked off the pace. You look at the way he's looking now, to say that he hasn't been developed, again, is a very disingenuous, almost ridiculous opinion. So, yeah, really, really impressed with him. Fullbacks, Dorgu gets praise. The low, I thought, did okay. I still wanted to see him hit some of these crosses first time. I want to see it. And if we're bringing in Šeško, getting some of these crosses in first time, I think, are absolutely imperative. But look, overall, and I might be nitpicking here, feet firmly on the ground, not getting carried away. I'm not talking about Champions League positions yet. I'm not talking about winning league titles or anything crazy. But for me individually, I was impressed with tonight. What I requested as a fan after the Leeds game is I want to see a step change. I want to see an improvement each preseason game. I think it's important for us to go into the start of the season with confidence. Our first game is Arsenal. And although our home record against them is quite good, even in our bad times, we know how hard a game that's going to be. They're one of the best teams in Europe. Facts. Second in the Premier League 3 years running, Champions League semi-finalists. By definition, you're one of the best teams in Europe. By doing that, I want to win it. Of course I do. But I want to go in with some confidence where maybe even not winning that game doesn't derail us too much. I think that's important. If we could get a good start to this season, the new attackers that we've got coming in, great. I know a few people are saying, Terry, what did you make of Cunha's absence? I just think what the manager told us is the truth. My view, and more about this will come out in the next day or two, I think he's worked so hard since coming in to impress. I think all the reports have come back from the sports scientists, and he's in the red zone because fitness levels aren't at their highest at this stage of the season. I think he's been pushing himself maybe a little bit too hard, and the club has just said, the right thing, we're going to rest you a little bit tonight. And I like seeing decisions along those lines. Yes, I know. I went to sleep. I woke up at about 2:10. I looked at my phone. I saw no Cunha, and I was like, oh, there was a part of me that went, I'm going to go back to bed. I'm really glad that I didn't. I wasn't going to do it, but I felt like it because I wanted to see Cunha play because I've enjoyed watching him so far. But it's right that the club is not risking the medium and long-term fitness of these players. So, yeah, for me, no issues with that whatsoever. Some super chats here. First one says, I want to keep Rasmus. The manager that bought him got sacked. Decent first season. No service. Wasn't meant to be our starting 9. Let him fight against Benjamin Obi on loan. Look, I understand that train of thought. United do need to balance some books here, though. This is the long and the short of it. And I think you've seen tonight with Ahmad playing in the 10 and the manager talking about he'll play there as well. There's going to be games this season where I think Cunha or Mbeumo start as 9s, where Xerxes starts as a 9. They're obviously going to be very different to what a Šeško or a Rasmus would do in terms of the positions in the pockets they pick up. But that shows the dichotomy and the differences in our play. The idea that our manager doesn't have any adaptation to his system makes me fucking die when people say that. But you only got to look at what we're buying profile-wise to know that he does. So I think, listen, if RB Leipzig really do want him, and we can do a deal where it gets our costs down for Šeško and we don't lose any money on our books when it comes to Rasmus, I would use him in that way, because if we can make the deal cheaper and we can not lose money on Rasmus, and he said Rashford, on Rasmus, then it may free up some additional money for that midfielder, for that goalkeeper that we're looking for as well. Erasmus' final pass vision not there. Experienced striker needed. Xerxes can play the pass for Mbumo and Cunha behind the defense. Not sure Rasmus has that ability. No, I agree. There was a great little touch and turn from him tonight. He's got a pass for Bruno. There's a pass for Ahmad. It goes to the more difficult one, and he did that 3 or 4 times. Look, Šeško's better technically on the ball than him, but I also agree with you. There's going to be games, and there's going to be games where he starts and games where he comes from the bench. That is where Xerxes, with the runners and the speed and the power of your Cunhas and your Mbumos and their goal scoring ability, that's where I think he could pay dividends. So if we're going to go into the season with 2 strikers, that's why I like Šeško and I like Xerxes, because they give us something different. And I like the idea of this isn't working, let's change it up. And we have those options. We could also have a game where we go, right, it's not working. Delo might be the player we bring on, because Ahmad goes into a 10 and we take off a striker and we put Mbumo or Cunha into the striker position and we move things round. And I like the fact we're slow in attack anyway. Once Šeško's in, fingers crossed, God willing, we've suddenly got this. We've got these options where last year it was like we had Ahmad that we could rely on, really. Xerxes did start to improve towards the end of the season, but there we go. Terry, if you haven't heard this today, you're very much appreciated. Thank you, Jay. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. I did hear it today because I bought my kids stuff from the shop. And they always tell me how much my daughter always writes me these notes. I've actually got one in here. Is this one? Yeah, right. So my daughter wrote me this note, and it said, to Daddy, I love you so much, mainly because you bought us Rocky. So it's always with my kids because I bought them something. They love me. But yeah, I don't take it personally, by the way. But yeah, so I have been told that today. Thank you for buying us Rocky. Not thank you for being our dad. Not thank you for all the cuddles and the kisses. Thank you for Rocky. Although he is great. He's my furry baby. Firstly, a shout out to you all for staying up. And it's because Terry Dorgu has someone next to him that compliments him. I like the intensity of the team. And yes, it's preseason, but I like we're scoring and intensity. And Joshua Jack, you're spot on, mate. And I just want to applaud you for a moment. I know it's only preseason. You're someone that isn't bought in. Oh, by the way, YouTube have now brought the usernames back. Much better. I can read it much better that way. Thank you, YouTube, for doing that. Keep it like this, please. You're someone that isn't really keen on Amorim, and you've criticized him a lot, but you've seen an improvement. You obviously want to see more of it like I do, and you're calling that out. And I think that is what football should all be about as a fan, is not running with agendas, saying what you think and feel. You might be challenged on it. People may disagree with you, but I think having the conversations is key. Hey, Terry, would you do a fantasy Premier League on the channel? Would be the largest Chelsea fan, but football needs Man United to be good again. Look, I think there is an element of that. This season is going to be massive with the teams in the title race. If you could throw a Man United into that mix, you are talking about a whole different level of media attention compared to us not being in it. And I think that as much as that will trigger a lot of rivals, we all know how big Manchester United are as a club and as a brand, historically, a massive fan base. The same as when Arsenal are on fire. They've got such a massive fan base. Liverpool, a massive fan base. Chelsea, a massive fan base. You have all 3 of those. That's why, if City will always be part of it, in my opinion. But if we could get to a point like we used to have with the old top 4, where you've kind of got a top 5, and there is a thing now where top 5 could become a regular occurrence for the English side, because I don't see us having too many years where we're not strong in Europe by and large because of how much money we have. If we keep getting the top 5 positions, you could literally recreate the sort of top 5, the top 4, but now as the top 5. And if Man United are involved in that as well, every week just becomes massive. It's a different level. where I think last season there was a lot of people switched off. On Premier League, look, we do a fantasy league every year, but I normally get 4 or 5 weeks in and I stop doing my updates. I'm so busy, I just kind of forget to do it a little bit. So we can do one. I probably won't change my 11 after the 4th week. But when I was younger, the way fantasy football used to work is you picked an 11 and that's all you had. And then January came and you could make 2 subs and that was it. So it was an easier game, and it was, your team might do really well, it might do really badly. It's all the subs and changing things and wild cards. I'm just like, oh, time. But there we go. Højlund is a fighter. I massively respect that. Yeah, I like Højlund's work rate, and I like the fact he hasn't given up. That's why he'll get a club. And again, I just think, again, if he goes to Italy, I think if he goes to Germany, I think he'll just do better. The Premier League is just a different kettle of fish for some players. So there we go. But look, we're going to bring KJ on. We've got Canadian Cam, who's on normal time for him. We've got Sunshine backstage. They'll be joining us momentarily on the show. If you haven't done so already, please, people, get that like button hit for us. Get yourself subscribing and get that bell notification turned on as well. Very, very important to the Football Terrace. But let me get my earphones so I can hear what these lovely people have to say. KJ's coming out first, and we bring the boys out afterwards. Good morning. It is the morning. Good morning, KJ.
Yep.
We stayed up. We got a decent win, though. We got a decent win.
Yeah, man. That's the best preseason game we've had in like 3 years. I remember Ten Hag's first preseason. We beat Liverpool, and I think we had a draw or win in there as well. But yeah, like since then we've had a pretty dreadful preseasons. Like we've not had any fun, any real enjoyment. Something's happened embarrassing, or we just don't look up to it. There's massive holes in the team that you can clearly see. But this is one of the best performances in preseason that I've seen in a while, and I'm happy about that. We can see that the team are fitter. You can see that the team are sharper. The passing is crisper. And yes, there were mistakes. There were a few mistakes in there, especially from Casemiro and Bruno. But that's because the way we wanted to play against Bournemouth today, it required quick passing. It required first-time touches. And you're not always going to get that correct. Bournemouth were a side that in this summer series that I was most worried about. I was like, you know what? If there's going to be a team that could do any damage to us, it would be Bournemouth. And we dealt with them perfectly today. I just want to shout out Dorgu. Dorgu is showing that he can be an asset to Manchester United, and people really, really went in on him so early, and I don't understand it, because people will be asking, people were saying that Man United need to find gems, need to find younger players, need to find unknown players. They've been saying it for years. We find an unknown player, a talented young player in Dorgu, and you don't even give him 2 months to get up to speed in the Premier League mid-season. Like it's crazy. Yeah. And the thing is, like, he had that red card, right, against Ipswich, and up until that point, he was looking good. He had a red card, missed 3 Premier League games, missed some games, and then he had a slower start because, again, you've just broke rhythm now. Rhythm's completely broken. And it took him a while to find his feet, yes, granted, but what do we expect from a young guy coming from a different country in the midst of the worst season that we've ever had? So I'm glad he's doing well. I'm glad he's looking quicker. One of the things from last season, I looked at him, like, yeah, he's rapid, but he doesn't look like he gets up to top speed quick enough. He's been getting to top speed really quickly. He's leaner, he's quicker, he's technically really good, and his shooting, hopefully that goal will help him improve his finishing. But yeah, overall, I'm happy with what we're doing, and it's funny because we won the last game and we played pretty well in the first 65 minutes of the game before the subs. But because we conceded a goal, it turned out, like, online, you would think we had the worst game ever. Online, people would just be focusing on the one thing that went wrong. And today I was just happy that we scored 4 goals. We looked good. We played well for the majority of the game. And then when we did concede, no one cared, because it was their own goal. And we played well enough throughout the entire game for everyone to split up relaxed, So yeah, we played well overall. There's a lot of we can pour in a lot of things, like Rasmus Højlund. People said I was harsh on him on the last game. He was better today. Is he the complete package? No. Do I still think he needs to be moved on, loaned out, sold, whatever you want to do, out of the team, back up? Yes, he cannot be our starting number 9. But today, he had a little bit more confidence. The goal did some good. He faded again, but in the second half, he came out, looked better again. Some of his flaws came out. He's not a great passer of the ball. He's not a great dribbler with the ball. He's good at one touches around the corner, but outside of that, you're asking a bit much. But with a bit of confidence, you saw that he looked like a competent player again. So I would still swap him for Seshko, like I would. But if he's going to stay around, I want him to do well. I want him to get confidence, and I want him to improve. So yeah, like we were good, man. Like we were good.
We were. There's a comment here from Anish who says midfield got run through a little bit in the first half. Other than that, really good performance. And I want to ask. I don't want to debate it. I want to ask a question to the audience. What does the midfield being run through look like to people? And I asked that question because I want to understand people's definition of it, because this is the Premier League. Every team gets counter-attacked on. So there were times where we lose the ball in attack, and then the fast, strong, powerful players in Bournemouth would counter. But Liverpool get countered on. Even City get countered on. Everybody gets... The problem is, I think we're living... Potentially, I'm not saying this is what Anish thinks. I think we're potentially living in a world where we are overanalyzing, like losing the ball, and a transition going, we're always getting run through. We run through teams, better teams than us when we counter-attack. That's the whole point of a counter-attack. What I didn't see happening today was a team bopping the ball around, picking it up with us behind the play, and them just running through us. We weren't being cut through in that way. We weren't being passed through. We weren't being run through. Yes, when we lost the ball, when we were attacking, there were times where they looked dangerous on the counter. But even then, they didn't really create many goal-scoring opportunities in the first half. So I'm not really challenging this point. I just want to understand what people think when they say we're getting... Because sometimes I think people use the same phrase, and midfield gets run through. But I don't know whether they're talking about the same thing as each other. Did you get where I'm coming from?
Turnovers and run through are two different things.
Yeah, me and Lee Gunner once had this debate about being a good finisher and being a good goal scorer, and I just sort of said I think they're the same thing. And then they sat there and we were watching Bergkamp goals and Ronaldo goals, and then we kind of agreed to disagree. But I was like, yeah, see, when someone says, "Oh, my guy's a better finisher than yours," I'm like, well, if your guy's taking 20 shots and scoring 3 goals, and my guy's taking 20 shots and scoring 10 goals, I think mine's the better finisher. Even if your goals are beautiful, I still think my guy's the better finisher because he's finishing more chances. And that's why I always think it's important to ask the question about what do people mean by being run through. But we'll do that there. We are going to get Canadian Cam on. I'm going to add Sunshine first because it's really early here, Cam. We're going to reverse it this time round. Sunshine's joining us on the show right now. Hi, you mate.
I'm good, man. Can you hear me?
Good, my friend. Yes.
Top man. Yeah. Good. Great game, man. I think it's probably one of the best. I think KJ said it. Best game we've had in preseason for a few years. That I'd like to echo that and ditto that and say that I fully agree. Not only was it, from a result standpoint, because obviously, yes, we beat Liverpool. And sometimes you speak about papering over the cracks sometimes. When you play Liverpool like we did, yes, we played them off the park side, but that Liverpool team didn't look like they were quality. We didn't look like we were stronger than them. It was more of we just took our chances and, capitalized. Whereas today was a genuine, legit professional performance according to what seemingly the manager wants. Players genuinely look fit. They look strong. We actually look like we know what we're doing, and the time that they've had together to understand what Amorim wants. Every single player looks like they're on job, and not only that, like I was saying to you before, they look committed to doing what the manager wants. But not only that, they're applying themselves and their talent to it, which says a lot about the culture change at Manchester United in terms of having those type of mentalities. Because in order to breed those mentalities, you do have to get rid of rotten eggs. You do have to get rid of those who aren't prepared to be able to push through and do the most. So for me, it was a great omen to Amorim and what he'd done today. Now, does that mean we're back? Absolutely not. But I think there's a lot of qualitative and quantitative data that you can take from that and go, okay, that I can make an honest judgment and say, fair play, like something's happening, something is working. And we didn't have Mbwems on the pitch, we didn't have Kuna on the pitch, which is even bigger surprise to me because, me where I look at myself and go, I don't think we've got the profiles to play that. To me, it looked like Amorim, even with the youth, have been able to coach the system that he wants to play, even with profiles that don't necessarily fit. He's made it work with the players he's had, and he's had a proper time to do that over a stretch of 8-9 months. So when I look at that, I have to go, fair play to the manager, because I still don't believe, like we saw in the second half, that we have the quality. I mean, let's take Højlund, for example. I know he's going to be a hot topic and there's plenty of players you want to go through. So I'll start with Højlund and let the rest go through the team. But when you look at Højlund, he had one of his better games. Yes, was it at the standard that we want for him? No. But in terms of one of his better games with his touches around the corners, his hold-up play was okay. He was creating chances more than anything on starting the counter-attacks, etc., in his own half, part of the transition. It was great, but the quality of him in terms of his passing was wayward every now and then. Now, again, playing devil's advocate, it could be down to confidence still. It could be that. Or it could just be that he doesn't have the full quality that we need. And I think you said in the live about Šeško, he'll be able to do what Højlund was doing today, but be more efficient on the ball and off the ball. And, if that is the case, then, unfortunately, Højlund does need to be sold. But it's good to see him have that right attitude and mentality, even though he's not, let's be honest, every player knows whether on the transfer list or whether there's a likelihood of him going. And he's a Man United fan. So for him to be able to apply himself, that says a lot. We've had players, Garnacho, Sancho, Rashford at times, who start moaning and doing all the bits and bobs in between, the leaks and stuff like that. That's not Manchester United. No one should be bigger than the club. You should have a work ethos that puts the club before your own ego. And we're seeing that from Højlund. So it's not just because I'm respecting Højlund doesn't mean I'm saying, right, start him in every game or don't sell him. But I'm giving credit where it's due, because to me, even if you're not good enough, you can still hold your head high and say, I represented the badge. And that's the culture we need to set as a foundation. So great session. And again, it's good to see, man. Absolutely.
I agree. And I think, there'll be people that will say United fans are overanalyzing pre-season. I don't think that's what we are doing. We all know what City are capable of. We all know what Arsenal can do. We all know what Liverpool can do. We all know what Chelsea can do. We haven't strung, I would say, in the last 18 months, more than two or maybe two, but no more than three back-to-back solid performances together. So I think looking for consistency in pre-season, sharpness, and how we might start the campaign, I think it's a very different thing to analyze. I think it's one of the reasons why every summer Man United's pre-season has become more and more and more important to us as fans, where I feel like in the Fergie era, most of us wouldn't watch any of the games, especially when they were on at like 3 or 4 in the morning, because we just knew we were going to be a good team in the season. And I think that there is a fundamental difference in that. Is Terry sleeping? I'm awake. I just listen. People don't realize that my camera's there when I'm talking, but the monitor I look at when people are talking is down there. So often when you see me look like I'm daydreaming, I'm actually looking at the person, because if I have the monitor where the camera is, do you know what that means? It means that it be in the way of the camera. So that's all it is. I'm not asleep. But no, I totally agree with you. The comment that's come out here actually from Ruben Amorim in relation to Rasmus from Samuel Luckhurst, he said that Ruben Amorim says he's really happy with Højlund, but I don't know what is going to happen at the end of the window. And well, that's just it, isn't it? And I think this is why I know us three always fit into this. Us three fit into this. I know Cam backstage will be bringing on soon fits into this as well. And we've all said it many a time that we all know that there's the 5 guys whose their own 3 of them at least, their own agents been pushing for a move, leaking stories, problematic stragglers, etc. So we can't pretend that we want to keep Rashford. We can't pretend that we want to keep Jadon Sancho. You can't loan someone out for 18 months and then pretend you want them in your team. But of all the other players that we keep saying we're happy with, I've seen people go, oh, I can't believe the manager said he's happy with this squad. All the old guys said that as well. No, that was never one of the things that damaged. This is where I get so confused by Man United fans still not understanding the root cause problems at this club. Saying you're happy with the players that you may have to play next season is not a problem. Most bosses wouldn't stand up in front of their staff and go, you're shit and I want to get rid of you all, but I can't find the right candidate. Most employers wouldn't do that. Most teachers wouldn't be like, oh, because teachers are bonused on how well the exam results are. Can you imagine a teacher sitting in front of a class going, do you know what? I'm getting no bonus this year because you lot are thick bastards. They're not going to do that. They're going to encourage you because it's just not going to motivate most people. Imagine he's sitting again, yeah, we think Rasmus is crap. Do you know what the potential buyers are going to do?
But this is crazy, the thing. Man. This is the thing. People in the season were saying that Amorim's devaluing our players. He's devaluing the squad, but saying his comments about suffering and the worst team and we've got to do X, Y, and Z. He needs to be more encouraging. He needs to get the players on side. He needs to make the players feel better. Now that he says, Højlund, I'm happy with Højlund. He's doing well. I'm happy with the squad. I can go into the season with this squad. It's now, oh, why is he saying that for? Like, you can't say that. It's wrong because he knows it's crap. No. So what do we want? People have already made up their minds on what they believe Amorim is. So anything he says is a trigger. He could say that you are the best looking person in the world, and you will say, no, I'm not. I think I'm ugly. And you're just like, all right, and it like you can't do anything.
I've used this analogy before, and it does upset some people because of the subject of the point it is. But I'll say it because I think it's true. When you dislike someone, I've always believed this, that when you dislike someone, you could find out that they invented chemotherapy, but instead of saying, wow, you've saved a lot of lives, you'd go, you fucking bastard, you make people bald. That's the way some people's mindset is. When they don't like someone, doesn't matter how good they are at their job, how nice they are, the great things they've done. When people dislike someone, they will look for the negative. And that example, I heard someone use that example and it made me laugh, not because it's because it's about a very emotive and devastating situation. But people that dislike people, that is how they kind of view. I've literally been accused I offered someone a job once, a full-time job working for me, but it meant they would have to dedicate themselves to the Football Terrace. They went around telling everybody that I was trying to control them and stop them working with other people. They tried to make me sound like a bully and a dictator. I was like, no, it was a full-time job. So of course you've got to dedicate yourself to me and my company. That's what I mean by people can take a really nice thing you're offering someone and turn it into, and you could do that about any job. Oh, McDonald's offered me a job, but they said that I couldn't go and work at Burger King if I worked here. Yes, you're working at McDonald's. But I just think that's happened to Amorim a little bit. When people don't like him, they look for the negative. I've seen people on the TL today. There's one guy I know, he's only tweeted about the 2 or 3 things that went wrong today. Not one thing about the positive side of it. And I just think that's the way the world, unfortunately, that's the world that we live in now. People have their agendas and they just run with them.
People are now loyal to what they like, not what is true. Like in our day and age, when we grew up as oldies now, we can call ourselves oldies, 90s, 80s babies, whatever. Like when you used to go out on the streets with your boys and whatnot, like if there was one odd one in your group, like whether it's popular or not, like you'd have to pull him in check, say, bro, you need to sort yourself out to make us like idiots right now. Now it's like, but he's my best mate, so now I've got to back what he does. And it's almost like you're loyal to who you like rather than to what is right. There's no morals no more, there's no values, so there's no actual standard of thinking or behaving.
It's the whole, I think it's called the horns effect. I think that's what it's called. And we get it in the YouTube world. So for instance, there are YouTubers who call me out because I'll go on the thumbnail, but then their best mates on YouTube do exactly the same thumbnails and they're cool with them, stream with them, don't say anything. It's nothing to do with the thumbnails. It's just you don't like, and you'll find that in the YouTube space, 9 times out of 10, when YouTuber A is slagging off YouTuber B, they'll talk about, I don't like their thumbnails. I don't like their titles. I think they lie. I think they're faking it. That isn't what they're thinking at all. It's, they're either jealous or they just don't like the person. But they know, especially as a man, they go on stream and just say, don't watch Terry or don't watch Sunshine, I don't watch KJ because I don't like them. Why don't you like them? I just don't like them. Everyone would go, you little bitch. They wouldn't care. But they make up something fake if they focus on something like, because it's misleading when they ask a question. It's not. But like that way, they try to give it some credence. And this is what happens with football managers. When you know, we've seen it before. Jose Mourinho, we need someone who's disciplined. Yeah, he's going to discipline Pogba. But I love Pogba. Now I hate Jose. Because and that happened. We've all seen that as well. People want, like, the way Rashford's been treated. Certain fans have been asking for that for a decade, but because they love Rashford, they're like, "Well, that's out of order." Well, no, you've asked for this. You just don't get to pick and choose.
I think the prime example, Terry, you could probably drop is the Ten Hag and Jadon Sancho situation. Like, Ten Hag gave him 3 months off. I don't know any manager that's given a man time off to go and, you know, sort himself out, which I respected. You know, fair play, you go and do the thing, but then he's literally made a not even a blase comment, just a very black and white, left and right, plus one plus one is two comment in regards to Jadon Sancho, and they've blown it up like because of the terminology he's used. But if you go and look at the actual energy put into that statement, it was just Ten Hag being Ten Hag. The very, very structured people as the Dutch are. So it wasn't even a thing, but it was almost Sancho's a baller. It was crazy. And then about 4 weeks later, correct me if I'm wrong, Pep Guardiola said the same thing about another player, but actually went in and there was nothing on it. And it was
this is also it. If we were winning league titles and it happened, nobody would care. It's also people are angry about these things. Sunshine, mate, always a pleasure to speak, brother. And we'll chat to you again soon. Get some sleep. Cheers, mate. All right, bye. Cheers, mate. Canadian Cam is here with us on the show. Welcome, brother. I hope you're good. A few comments here I want to put up. Patrick Dorgu has just released a statement, talking to the United Stand. He said it was good that the team gave a good performance to the fans. Pre-season is helping everyone to understand Ruben's ideas even more. And we know how important that is. But Cam, did you see more of Ruben's ideas tonight?
Are you on mute, bro?
We good?
Yes,
you hear me? All right, bet. Thanks. All right, yeah, man. What's up, guys? One thing I noticed, I'll say, is, and I was paying attention, and you guys, hey, man, it's late here too. It's late here too.
Time.
Yeah. So anyway, one thing I noticed, you guys helped me out here because, like, I'm not a tactical or whatever. I feel like when people talk about the whole midfield thing, it felt like for me tonight, like, we don't really use the midfield that much. Like, it just feels like very much with the Amorim system, it's press high, win the ball back. The midfielders come in and try to win the ball and just directly move it to the edge of the box and play around the box and cross in. It seems like we're doing a lot of that. And there isn't a lot of, like, trying to control. And again, tell me if I'm way off here, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot of we're trying to control the game from the midfield ever, which I'm starting to notice. And I heard you say the midfield looked decent tonight with Cass, Terry, but I wasn't a big fan of Cass tonight. There's a few moments with Cass tonight I was like, okay, you look old. Like when he was on the ground doing that breakdance move, I was like, ooh. And he had a few, like, I don't care about the wayward passes and stuff. That stuff will come. Of course, you're going to be rusty. But it was the way he got taken down, and his first reaction was, shit, I can't get up, so I got to start kicking at the ball while I'm on my ass. I was like, that just felt like something an old dude would do on the pitch. Now, I don't see the point of him. I do not see the point of him. I don't understand it. Doesn't make any sense. But to circle back to the question, yes, I see what Amorim's trying to do now, and it's I've been saying, like, I've been patient. I've not crashed out on Amorim once. Like, I've not said one thing other than sometimes I don't like the players he picks, but that's just managers, and he's still toying. But I'm willing to let it come to fruition and actually see how this works, because in these games against these smaller teams, if we're going to play like this, where we just press high, we're complete menaces, attack in groups, win the ball back, and, like, get it to one of our now 3 goal scorers. Technically, like, we're gonna have multiple dudes on the pitch who can put in goals. And one thing you said earlier, which I did say in the group chat. So when you said, I was like, nice, I feel the same way. I don't think if we get a Sesko, he plays every game. I think our advantage is going to be the fact that we can be very flexible. We can be unpredictable. Like, we put Ahmad in the 10 tonight, and he looked decent. He was not bad. I like him out as right wing back better, but he was decent, scored a goal. Cool. If you do a lot of switching and a lot of changing up, you're going to throw people off, because if he can play right wing back or right 10 and then you have an Embuemo or Cunha who can play the 9, who can play the 10. Then you have, you know, Sesko, who I hope comes in. I'm not gonna echo chamber the Rasmus stuff. I agree with whatever everybody said. I just fully agree. Like, that's all I can say about this. I want to see Sesko in there. I think with somebody with his aerial dual prowess and his ability on the ball and just a better striker of the ball, you get him the chances that Rasmus had tonight, and we do more with him. So I get it. He took that. That was a great header, but I think Sesko scores that too. That's the thing. And I think more times than not, Sesko's the one who will put that goal in, and more times than not, Rasmus, the lights will be too big. So I don't know, man. I like what I saw tonight. I'm not getting overly excited. But you know, 4-1. Like, I'm upset Tom Heaton didn't get a clean sheet. That'd have been cool for him.
I know, I felt bad for him, man. Again, it wasn't his fault either. Like, it's an OG. You can't really do nothing about own goal. But now, to be fair, you are right about the midfield thing. He doesn't build up through the midfield, and I think a lot of Man United fans, including myself at times, we need to get used to that. As in, like, listen, Ten Hag didn't really build up through the midfield either, you know. And one of the things we wanted was better midfield retention, better control, and we've decided to go with Amorim, and that's not what he does. So it's just one of those ones where, as United fans, we need to just let it go and hope that we have the midfielders that Amorim needs to actually fulfill his system, because he builds through the centre backs. That's why players like Yena Yara are important. That's why Lisandro Martinez, when he's back, will be important, because those are his playmakers. Really, those are the ones who progress the ball. The midfielders are there to screen, to win the ball back, and again, like you say, get it to the forward guys, the wing backs, as quickly as possible, because that's where the magic happens in the Amorim system. So yeah, we need to get used to that, but it's not a bad thing, you know. Like, I don't think
as long as it works, like, I don't care. This is the thing, man. I've never cared about how you play, which way you play. Like I loved watching volleyball. Everyone was like, "Oh, this is boring." I like it as long as you're scoring goals. Like, when Jose had us at 4-0 FC, like, I didn't care that we were, like, people forget Jose was fairly pragmatic. He just was smart, like, on how he set teams up against. Like, so it's like, I liked all of the type of styles, and we were winning.
It's true, and like, we do build up through the centre backs. And again, though, I mean, we live in a world now where United. This is where I'm a little confused. I'm just a little confused by Man United fans. For years, we've wanted to be able to play. We've said play it from the back, play it from the back. We are now the manager whose system is the epitome of playing out from the back, because the build-up play starts with the centre backs, and we're losing our minds over it. But that's what playing out from the back is essentially. What I saw tonight, though, was the next level. And I think, again, we all learn things. Fitness levels were an issue last year. I just don't think I don't think even the players that lack the physical ability to play it, I think, consistently for 38 games, because you still want people that are more powerful and you want people that are faster. They just didn't have the fitness level. So what we would see last season is, it's a good 20 minutes, good opening 20 minutes, and then fade, because we didn't have the legs. We didn't have the fitness levels to do it. There's a reason, and that's why, like, I didn't get carried away when I saw everyone come back to training and everybody looked lean, everybody looked fit, everybody looked like they put on they looked smaller because they'd lost fat, but like by a few percent, but they look stronger. I didn't get carried away with it, but I think we're starting to see why that was. It was, you need a really good base, then I'm going to push you to another level, and that should see us through the season in terms of being able to press. But I like the play. So not every move comes off either, and that's normal for even the best teams in the world. But there was maybe about 10 times in the first half where we get the ball, Lenny Yara would play it into midfield, and Bruno would dummy it, or Cass would dummy it. Then it would end up at Bruno's feet, and he'd pass it into Ahmad, who'd touch it into Rasmus, who'd knock it off and then make a run. And we created goal-scoring opportunities from it. Other times, the final ball wasn't good enough, or something we can't always control. The other team actually does some good defending and wins the ball back. Like, when it's your own team, I do think we judge it. Like, if that was against us, and it was like 4 or 5 great one-touch passes, and then De Ligt makes the tackle as it goes into the striker, we'd go, got away with that one.
Yeah, got away with it.
When we're doing it and it happens, we go, fuck's sake, we lost the ball. We have to understand our minds. Don't we do this a lot? Our striker goes through one-on-one, shoots, saves. We go, you fucking idiot, you should have scored. Other way around, we go, what a save! What a save!
That one kills me. That would always kill me. KJ knows I always jump on that one. I'm always like, or it was a good save. Like, realistically, there's times where it's like people get so. I'm like, It happens.
Exactly. And we all do that in the moment, because I think when you're highly I think everybody's IQ drops when they're being emotional. I think everybody's IQ drops a level when they're being emotional, and we all sort of do that. And that's what I saw tonight, and I like that kind of football, and that's how Amorim wants to play. And it's not going to be perfect this season.
Tal, one thing you mentioned, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. One thing you mentioned there that I thought about during the game was there was a lot of dummies. That was a big part of our system. Like, there was a lot of trickery and faking and then instant layoffs. Like, a lot of times the 10, so Ahmad would lay it off and you'd see him turn. Like, the ball would be gone from his feet and he's already running to the spot, expecting the ball to come back. That's what I noticed a lot of, which I really like, because that told me, I'm like, oh, these guys are playing football here. They're drilled.
And you know who wasn't doing that, Cam? You know who was not doing that? Flipping Mason Mount, because he flipping can't.
Yeah, well, because he's not capable.
Hey, listen. You brought it up, and he just brought up these little moments in the game where Mason Mount showed me why he can't play for this club no more.
Yeah,
there was a moment where there's one moment where there's a mix-up in the Bournemouth backline, and Mason Mount gets in front of the defense. Now he has like 30 yards, 40 yards of free space to go 3-on-goal 1v1. You might have to tussle with the defender, but you can go through. Like, go, my brother. What does he do? Man stands still and tries to play it to Rasmus, and I'm sitting there like, this is why you shouldn't be here, because he can't.
Ahmad stared at him. Ahmad's like,
yeah, you know, it's interesting. See, I looked at that differently. I was like, why didn't Rasmus run? But now you've said that, I'm like, it's a good point. Actually, Rasmus just probably assumed that Mount was going to run with the ball, but that is where. But this is where we're going to have a new dynamic this season, because even that, like, Ahmad's quick, but he's still quite slight. There was that time where we had a great counter-attack opportunity and Tavernier caught up with him.
Yeah,
he ain't catching Mbumo. That's where this season, I was watching Liverpool play, not today's preseason game, the one before that, AC Milan. The amount of balls that were knocked over the top for Salah to run onto. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to have Mbumo that can do that next year. It's just another string to your bow. On top of that, though, I was watching a few tactical videos today about Šeško and breaking down his play. His hold-up play is decent. There are times where he gets the ball a little bit caught up under his feet and stuff. Do you know what he's amazing at? Fantastic at one-touch play in the build-up. So the ball being passed into him and laying it off one touch and moving. And what I saw tonight with the way I've seen it in the last two games, how we're trying to do that one-touch football when we attack, he could be perfect, because Rasmus isn't good at it. Too many times, it's like throwing a tennis ball at a brick wall. You don't know which way it's, you know, it might come straight back at you, but if it could go left.
Do you know what kills me is when he does it. When he does his layoff, sometimes instead of just going right into the space, he looks for the contact. So he rolls off his guy and he's just holding onto him as he's trying to get the ball back. And I'm like, but you're not giving anybody an outlet, bro. Stop. You gotta just
literally, he did it where he held off the guy. He touched the ball. He held off the guy, and he was so distracted by holding off the guy, the spare man come and took the ball. And I'm just like,
I hear you, man. But go on, bro.
No, so one thing I was thinking about, because like I was thinking about the players that came on. Obviously, it was a quick cameo. One player that stood out to me, and it wasn't Diego Leon. Like, I wonder if you guys, it was Mantado. It was Mantado. He stood out to me. I was like, you look like he's 17, but it's like you look like a man out there, kind of like how Heaven does. You know, it's like you look like you fit, and I would like to see him get a chance to take Delo's spot. Like, not the starting right way, but I would like him to just get a chance to, by the end of the season, because he looked really good in the system. And I think about like how old Quenda was. Quenda was 17, right? Same thing. A young kid out of the academy who looks like he could play a part. Obviously, it's going to take some time. I'm never rushing these kids, but I want to see him get time because he looked real good to me.
No, but Bendito could be our Quenda, quote unquote. He plays right wing for the academy, but he also plays left back as well because he's left footed. So it just fits the Amorim
build.
That's one thing about preseason I liked as well. I don't obviously watch MUTV because I don't give any money to the Glazers still. One thing I miss about not doing that is you kind of miss the academy players coming through. Because I used to, very boring to anyone who isn't a United fan, but I would religiously watch the under-18s and the under-23, well, the reserves as they used to be called, and you'd know who was coming through. I don't so much anymore. A comment here from Baz says, Šeško can beat a man link up play and as a houser of a long shot. The long shot, look, I want to say this as well. This is again another string I think we're adding to our bow. Cunha, Mbeumo, and Šeško are all capable of scoring from distance. We know Bruno Fernandes can score from different distance. And look, I think it averages about 7% of all long distance shots end up going in. That's for the average player. But suddenly we might have 3 or 4 players in our team that are genuinely good at taking long shots. That's just another way to win a football match. And that's what we struggled with last year. We didn't have the clinical edge or multiple ways of winning games. We didn't have enough match winners. And that's what I consider a match winner to be. Yes, how solid are you on a one-on-one or how good you're positioning for a tap-in. But sometimes what you actually need is someone that can get the ball on the edge of the box, can turn, and just rifle it into that top corner. Mm-hmm. Now, they might only score 3 or 4 each a season like that, because I don't expect one every game. But if you have 3 or 4 people that can score 3 or 4 each, again, you're just adding that sort of 10 to 12 goals in the league that we just couldn't get last year because there wasn't the ability. Because, you know what? Like, Garnacho has scored some good goals, but typically speaking, he's not scoring from distance, as an example. Mm-hmm. Rasmus ain't scoring from distance. Mm-hmm. Xerxes ain't scoring from distance. Mm-hmm. Ahmad's very good. He can just on the edge of the box.
He's just at the edge of the box.
Yeah, but outside of that, no one else scores like that. So again, those little things, it's a great comment, Baz. That will improve us.
And another thing about that is that it makes teams wary of the long shot. So they therefore can't sit back, because if they sit too deep, you give a guy a time to line up a shot and there's a good chance it goes in because they're good at it. So that means they have to push out more, which then also gives more space to our striker in the box, because one of the problems we've had is that all teams had to do was make their box compact, fill it up with guys, and we're not going to find a way to penetrate them and therefore get a goal. If you know you've got Šeško, you've got Mbeumo, you've got Bruno, you've got Cunha.
Yeah, Cunha. I mean, look what Bruno did against Everton, even just that type of goal where he has time. Yeah. This is the same thing. If he has time, they're gonna pick apart. And I agree. It'll be cool to have a couple of those guys who could potentially do that. Sorry, okay, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes says it here. Nani, Tevez, Rooney, Ronaldo all slapped in some long ranges whilst dominating games. It's true, and it's just an extra string to our bow. You actually look at some of the better teams in the Premier League. Just players score, and think of Mbeumo's goals. Yeah, there are some that were like he'd meet the ball at the back post and tap it in. There were some one-on-ones where he'd score, but a lot of his goals were. He isn't as good as Mo Salah, but Mo Salah-esque, as in gets the ball near the edge of the box, shuffles one way, drops a shoulder, cuts back inside that left, and then curls it into the far corner. I just feel like we haven't had someone doing that. Like Rashford was doing it 2 seasons ago. In 2-3 seasons ago, Rashford was doing it, and he did it for that period of time. Outside of that, I don't remember the last time we had people on both sides that are capable of doing it. So look, listen, I'm not losing my mind. Still a long way to go. Feet firmly on the ground. But I am seeing improvements. It's what I was asking for. And listen, on to the next game now. Hopefully we can do the same. The nice thing about the next match, we're very likely to see Mbeumo and Cunha as well. And a trophy, maybe. And a trophy.
Ooh, top of the league, boys. Top of the league. We even talked about that.
Well. I love it. I love it. And what we're top of the league of, right? It's just, I want to make sure I get the name of this right. So what we're actually in competition-wise right now is called... the Premier League Super Series. So we are top. I'm just cutting out the last 2 words. Right now we're top of the Premier League, right? So that's what I'm doing. Do you know what's mad? Do you know what's happening tonight in football? It's the fucking Portuguese Super Cup.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Mad. It's so early. Listen, I love this here. It says, I love hearing delusional Man United fans. No one here is delusional. No one here is getting carried away. But this is the difference. This is the difference, Flaming Link. Is that had we had lost 4-0 tonight, everybody would be losing their minds. Everybody would be going crazy. And nobody would be saying it's just fitness. Nobody would be saying it doesn't mean anything. That's what I like about covering Man United. When we win, it's nothing. When we lose, it's everything. And what we're doing is being balanced. We know there's a lot to improve on. We know there's a long way to go. And I'm actually also putting a lot of pressure on the players to say, listen, guys, you've shown you can play with this intensity. Now I want to see it. I want to see it 38 times this season in the league. I don't want I don't expect to win every game, but I expect to see that intensity that we gave tonight. And that is how I know if the culture's changing, because I still believe a large problem we had at this club for over a decade is people picking and choosing when they were going to work that hard.
One game a week, no excuse.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One game a week, no excuse.
Your hardest period will be Christmas. And then once you get out of that, boom, you're back to normal as well. So these guys got it all to prove, because there is a slight fear.
It's an AFCON, you're right?
Yeah. So we'll lose Mbeumo and we'll lose maybe
Ahmad.
Ahmad if he gets picked, and Onana. But there is still a slight fear in me is that the season starts, we put all our effort into like the first few games because they're hard, and then we just die because everyone's like, we've done our best now, like, and so we can chill. Like, I really want these guys to take it by the scruff of the neck and really show that they really want to play for Man United and want us to get back to the top. That's what I want from them.
That's it. Listen, I want to say, sorry, Harrison here says, Terry, I loved it on Straight Facts earlier when you said rivals thought us losing the final was the nail in the coffin. It's actually crazy to think people don't see the way this great club can ever recover. Look, I said it at the time. I was angry that we lost the final, but my motivation was that people were just, I read tweets. It was in our group chats. These boys will remember, KJ and Cam are in them. That's it. I'm so glad United are finally dead. You're finished. You're never coming back. I'll be able to drag the tweets out because I bookmark all these things and save them for posterity, really. But people literally thought that was the end of us. And I'm not even saying we're back right now, but we weren't dead and buried forever.
Mid-table.
Yeah, I just always thought it was again, and that's why we've had so many people. Mo on this channel earlier. What's his name? Ches was in our group chat going, I don't understand how you guys are getting these players over Newcastle. And it's like, well, that's because you've deluded yourself, literally deluded yourself into thinking that we were dead. The irony of Ches doing it as well, that when Chelsea were crap a few years ago, he'd sit there and talk about how they'd be back and turn things around, but yet he sees no possibility of another club doing it. Plus, at the same time, all he does is ask us questions because he doesn't actually know what's going on at our club. So it's mad that he's even making those claims. But there we go. Look, I want to thank everyone who's tuned in. I know it's very late. This is going to redirect you to the Done Deal show, which I'm live with in about 5 hours. So get yourselves across there. If you're up, great. I'll be live again in about 5 hours' time for the Done Deal show this morning. But until next, and then literally it's a mad morning. So Done Deal show, then live watch along for the North London derby, live match reaction, then the top 6 show, and then the gym, and then bed. It's going to be a crazy 24 hours for me. But listen, well done United tonight. Boys, thanks for coming on. Sunshine as well. Thank you to all my super chatters, all our subscribers, and everyone who's liked the show. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all soon. Peace.